Hello and welcome to my channel. We already know what is welding process. So in this video I will be explaining about the types of welding. So welding is a metal joining process and day by day the types of welding processes are increasing. We are discovering many types of welding processes that are more advanced than the existing welding processes. That's why in this video I will be explaining about most appropriate and most important welding processes. So firstly, we can classify in several ways. The mostly in common approach, the welding is divided according to the source of heat or source of energy we used to join the metals. First one, fusion welding or non-pressure welding. The second one is plastic welding or pressure welding, and the third one is modern welding processes. These are two different processes and this one is the example of too many modern welding processes. Let's now discuss one by one in depth. So first one is fusion welding process. The fusion welding process, that is also called non-pressure welding process. In this process, the filler metal may required or may not required. We fuse the parent metal without applying pressure. That's why it is called non-pressure welding. But why it is called fusion welding? Because we fuse the parent metal without applying pressure, but we apply heat to fuse the parent metal. That's why it is called fusion welding process. Fusion welding is a welding process where the edges of the base metals are melted with or without filler metal. We don't apply filler metal. If required, we apply the filler metal and allowed to fuse together upon solidification. No external pressure is applied during welding. So in this process, we don't apply pressure. We only apply heat energy to fuse the parent metals and wait for solidification, and the welding process is getting done. There are many fusion welding process: electric arc welding, gas welding and thermit welding. Firstly, we will know these three processes in short. First one is electric arc welding or simply arc welding. Electric arc welding is a fusion welding process in which heat for melting the metal is generated by an electric arc between the electrode and the workpiece. So here heat is getting generated by the source of electric. So here we are using power supply machine. This is called welding machine, and this is the two welding cord is supplied from this machine. One is connected to the filler metal and second one is connected to the workpiece. When the filler metal is coming towards the workpiece, then after the few gap remaining, we get a complete circuit and the filler metal with the parent metal getting fused. After solidification, we get the welded joint or weldment. So in this process, by using the electric, we are getting the welding process done. That's why it is called electric arc welding. The next one is gas welding process. So gas welding is a fusion welding process in which heat is produced by burning a fuel gas with oxygen to melt and join the base metals. So in this process, we use gas and burnt it to get the heat energy. And using that heat energy, we melt the parent metal with the filler metal if required. So the gas are using, that is, one is oxygen and second one is acetylene. So here we can see that is two cylinder. One is oxygen gas cylinder and second one is acetylene gas cylinder. Within two pipes, these two gases are coming, and by this hose pipe, and this is the welding torch where two gas mixes and prepare a mixture of two gas and we ignite it, and after ignition here we generate the heat energy, and by using the heat energy we melt the parent metal and the filler metal to fill the gap if required. Then after solidification, we get the welding joint. This is gas welding process. We are using gas to fuse the parent metal, or we using the gas to do the welding joint. That's why it is called gas welding process. And the next one of fusion welding process is thermit welding. So thermit welding is a fusion welding process where heat is produced by a chemical reaction between aluminium powder and a metal oxide. The metal oxide commonly used is iron oxide. So here we are using chemical reaction to fuse the parent metal or to do the welding joint. The reaction generates molten metal and intense heat which fuses the workpieces together. So in this figure we can see this one and this one is parent metal, and here the chemical reaction is shown. When the chemical reaction is going on, intense heat is coming, and using that heat we melt the parent metal, and after solidification we get the weldment. This is called thermit welding process. We are using chemical reaction, and the chemical reaction is getting place with the help of aluminium powder and metal oxide. Usually the metal oxide is iron oxide. So this is thermit welding. The next one is plastic welding, or we can say pressure welding. So what is plastic welding or pressure welding? Is a process in which two surfaces are brought into close contact and bonded by the application of pressure. So we are using pressure to do the welding joint, sometimes with heat or without significant melting of the base metals. Sometimes we use heat, but that heat is applied to a concentrated area. So when pressure welding is done, we use the parent metal and apply pressure on the both parent metals, and we create heats. How we create heat? We create heat by the use of electric energy or electric power supply. We use electric power supply to a concentrated area, and by the help of pressure and electricity we get melted to a particular area of the parent metal, and after solidification we get a weldment. This is plastic welding. The plastic welding is two types: resistance welding and forged welding. So resistance welding is that type we use electric energy. So what is a resistance welding? Resistance welding is a pressure welding process in which heat is generated at the joint by the electrical resistance of the workpieces to the flow of current combined with the application of pressure. So we use the resistance of electric energy to fuse a particular area of the parent metals, and after solidification we get the welding joint. So this one and this one is parent metal, and the red ones are electrode. We apply power source to the electrodes, and when we are using power source we apply pressure on the parent metals, on the both parent metals with the help of electrodes, and after few times the particular area which on the nearest to the electrodes get melted, and after solidification we get the weldment. But we have to remember one point, that when we want the welding joint or when we want to solidify the particular area, we have to disconnect the power source, but we have to continuously apply the pressure on the parent metals by the help of electrode. By this technique we get the welding joint. So in resistance welding, this is pressure welding, so we are applying pressure and using the resistance of electric current. That's why it is called resistance welding. Resistance welding can be different types. I will discuss in the next videos. So the next one of pressure welding is forged welding. So what is forged welding? Forged welding is one of the oldest welding methods, classified as a solid state pressure welding process. So this is one of the solid state pressure welding process in which two metal pieces are heated to a plastic state and then hammered or pressed together to form a joint. So in forged welding, we apply heat on the parent metal, and after a level of heating, we apply repeated force on the both parent metals. The parent metals are placed one after one, and we apply repeated force on the both parent metals, and the area which we are applying force gets joint. This is called forged welding. So this process may be similar to the forging process, and using the forging process we are joining two parent metals. That's why it is called forged welding process. So next one is the modern welding process. This is not any kind of process. This is the bunch of welding processes. So gas tungsten arc welding or GTAW or TIG welding is one of the most familiar modern welding processes. So modern welding refers to advanced high precision welding processes that use innovative heat sources, automation and control system to produce strong, accurate and efficient joints. So this is modern welding process. They are designed for high productivity, minimal distortion and the ability to weld advanced or dissimilar metals, especially in aerospace, automotive, electronics and energy sectors. So modern welding process we are using for precision welding and most advanced levels of welding skilled. So not only TIG welding is a advanced welding process, gas metal arc welding or GMAW or MIG welding is also modern welding process. Laser beam welding, electron beam welding are also modern welding processes. So in the next videos I will discuss about these modern welding processes. So in this video I have discussed about the different types of welding processes. Hope this video was useful for you. Thank you for watching this video. For more updates, subscribe this channel and hit the bell icon.